Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I know that you already read the caption, so today we're going to be talking about healing your inner child. Before we get into this, we're going to ask ourselves some questions to make sure that this is really for us. Maybe very often in your childhood, and a little less frequently or more frequently now, whether you're interacting with other people or by yourself, have you ever reacted to something that someone else would consider pretty small and thought to yourself, why did that affect me so much? Do you ever feel like you're craving something that you never had as a kid? Whether it's a passion, a food, a toy, meeting someone, talking to someone, achieving something, love, attention, freedom, and that it's a burning hole inside of you that doesn't really go away no matter how much you try to fill it with other things. Well, ask yourself, what if a part of you never really grew up? What if a part of you never got the chance to grow up? Not in a bad way, but what if there's a part of you, your inner child, that's still needing to be understood? All right, we're going to talk about the inner child, understanding what it really is, how childhood wounds can follow us into adulthood, and most importantly, how we can begin to heal from them. And to be clear, to preface, this isn't about blaming parents or relieving trauma. It's about reconnecting with the parts of ourselves that still need love, safety, and joy. What is the inner child? The inner child is a part of our subconscious that carries some of our earliest memories, our emotions, and our unmet needs from our childhood. Psychological background to this term, it's rooted in the Jungian psychology and inner parts theory, if you want to look that up separately. Some examples of this inner child that may project throughout your adulthood are finding parts of yourself that may still get nervous when you get rejected by something, part of you that still lights up when you get praised or noticed, or a part of you that feels scared and small when you get criticized. Let's talk about how the inner child gets hurt. I'm sure you're going to find yourself relating to many of these examples, but here are some common ways that we can develop these childhood wounds. Emotional neglect or lack of affection, whether that's verbal praise or physical affection. You can feel unseen or unheard from either of those factors, or an external factor, maybe perhaps in school, the way you're treated by your peers, or the way that you're treated in society based off of a racial bias people have against you. Growing up too fast, a parentified child, especially if you're an oldest sibling, or if you were raised by very unprepared and irresponsible adults where you had to be responsible for yourself, if not other children as well. Or if you had medically disabled parents that also needed you to be taking care of them too. Personally, I've got like a whole mix of this batch. My father has epilepsy and like a million mental disorders, and then also is just neglectful. That sparked extreme early maturation and a need for me to learn how to physically aid someone or revive them given they have a medical accident at like the age of 6. This will also push you into like a constant survival instinct, whether it be you constantly looking out for the other person that may have an injury, or maybe yourself are abused and you have to look out and be on survival mode for yourself getting hurt. It's not really being parentified, but it's being put in a very grown situation that you shouldn't be as a child. It doesn't give you the room to unfocus and think freely and blankly as normal children do. Scarcity or poverty as a child. This is also something that I experienced growing up. For example, we were very poor, so we had a lack of food. We did not see blueberries or raspberries in my household. I think the first time I had Chick-fil-A was probably when I was a teenager. Organic was non-existent. Throwing away food and not finishing food was non-existent. This created a bad relationship between me and my meals. I was forced to finish past satiation and to associate food without hunger, but need and a desperation of need. And that absolutely made it more difficult for me in my adulthood to learn how to eat in moderation when I later had an abundance of it. It also definitely caused an eating disorder. And lastly, constant criticism or lack of validation. Ways that these can connect into your adulthood, you might see that you're affected in areas of overworking in jobs or in school or in a house to overprove your worth. You may be people pleasing to people that you don't even care about their opinions, or people that you shouldn't need to people please in the first place, because if they really valued you and respected you, they would appreciate you as you come. You might struggle with emotional regulation, and you might have a lot of difficulty trusting others and forming secure relationships. For me, something that I used to help heal my, eating disorder was now I let myself eat whatever I want from wherever I want, whenever. And the price of food is never a question for me, obviously, unless it's ridiculously expensive. But I allow myself that freedom and never feel restricted about it. And I never make myself feel pressured to finish. I allow it to feel more naturally as it should. Because as a child, when food was scarce, that restriction stuck with me subconsciously. How childhood can bleed into adulthood. Unmet childhood needs are often what drive adult habits, whether those are negative or positive, or triggers. A lot of the time, people that earn a lot of money later in life who grew up in poverty end up losing it and overspending because they try to compensate for the lack and void they suffered in poverty as a child. Or you might find that you have a fear of abandonment or separation anxiety stemming from an unstable parental love or lack thereof. You might find yourself being avoidant attachment or often shutting down what you could consider a learned response from emotional pain that you've suffered before. We can think that we've matured and we can think that we've moved on on as long as the rest of our lives, every single day, go by smoothly in our own peace that we've created for ourselves. But that's just not reality. And not every day is going to go as expected or as planned or perfectly. And you'll find that that inner child always comes out every time you feel scared, every time you feel defensive, or every time you crave comfort. And there's just that little hinge of uncomfortability you feel in your soul every time it comes back, because it's a familiar feeling and a familiar void that may haunt you even in your 30s when you separated from that trauma 15 years prior. But somehow when a certain subject comes up, or when someone speaks to you in a certain tone, there's a specific wound that you feel that gets poked a little deeply. And they're easy to overcome because they're familiar, but they don't disappear forever. And it's only a matter of time until something seeps within that wound. It's important to know how to heal the wound forever, to seal it up, to become immune to it. From a lack of consistent and visible affection, attention, love from my family growing up, that created a deep wound within myself whenever I would see other families and the way that their parents would talk to them, the way that their friends would speak to them, the way that they were paid attention to so deeply that someone asked about their day, someone asked about their scores on a test, someone cared about what they ate so much as to pack them a lunch. I remember being that little girl and seeing everyone else around me live in these movie perfect lives, white picket fence style, where I just imagined they'd wake up every morning at a table having breakfast with their family before their parents dropped them off to school. And because of that, I craved it so deeply and I yearned for it so bad that I was so desperate for it that when I felt that I was getting even an ounce of that offered from somebody else, I was so quick to take it. But that was my own fault, because this level of desperation from that childhood wound that I didn't know enough about to even recognize, let alone heal, is going to be taken advantage of by those who see your vulnerability and want to use that desperation to their own benefit. For example, I ended up being in relationships with multiple people that treated me the exact same every single time, whether they were cheating on me, disrespecting me, avoiding me, doing the bare minimum, etc. And somehow, some way, every single time it ended up being the same story. And I had to keep asking myself, I'm doing all of these good things, I'm putting all of this effort, I'm being so nice to them, I'm doing blah, 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 a million times more than I even should be doing. Why does it still not work? And even though I wasn't the bad guy, I still had to take a step back and recognize that there was a common denominator. And at the end of the day, that common denominator was 100% my choice. It affected who I allowed in my life. Those people will still exist and will still treat someone else horribly, whether or not I'm here. But it was my choice to let myself be that person. Healing those inner wounds and taking the time in isolation and by myself and reflecting back on my childhood and understanding how it's bled into my adulthood is how I was able to heal myself, to then put myself back in the world with these firm boundaries and firm self-love and self-respect, ultimately filtering out those that I let in, whether it is a partner, whether it's a friend, whether it's even who I work with. I quit jobs left and right if they make me feel uncomfortable. There's nothing more valuable to me than my peace that is protected. If I feel disrespect or if I feel taken advantage of or undermined, I'm gone. There's not a thing that you could do for me, I promise you. And that's just one example. A family example, having never received praise my entire life, having never been paid attention to, whether it came to my academic achievements, my talents in music and singing and drawing, and sports, never receiving any sort of tell me about it or oh my gosh, that's cool or great job. Zero. It created this void where when I received compliments from other people, it would fill it up and it'd make me feel better. But at the end of the day, a compliment from a stranger, a compliment from a teacher is never going to amount to that void that you had waiting for your parent to do it. And honestly, this drove me to be so perseverant in almost everything. I'm honestly a really skilled person in a lot of different things just because I made it a point to myself that I can do anything and I can do it right and I can do a good job. Because my whole life, my number one opponent, person who was living in the same house as me, raising me, was telling me all the time that I couldn't do it and that I wouldn't be able to. This made me extremely competitive and it made me extremely disciplined. And yes, that's a good thing and it's a great trait, but there's a level of selflessness and discipline that can become self-harm. And the thing is with this void, you can reach this point of getting the approval from everyone else. I have all of the approval from all of my teachers, all of my coaches, all of my friends, families, etc., people online. That's never going to fill that gaping void in you. So then you're going to keep seeking it and you're going to keep pushing yourself further and further past the point of doing it for yourself, doing it because you enjoy it. Anyway, let's talk about healing this inner child. So the first step is the acknowledgement, of course. Notice when your reactions or your emotions feel younger or less mature than your current age. Ask yourself, what age of mine is showing right now? What age do I feel emotionally? And what does that version of me need? If I was that age, what would I want to comfort me? Another tactic is reparenting yourself. I do this all the time. And especially working with children, learning how to parent other people's children teaches me how to parent myself and the inner child in my head, further preparing me to motherhood. Become the loving, patient parent that you always needed. The one that you saw other kids have when you were in school. The one that you saw would ask about their day, tell them how good they looked, tell them how great they did, kid. Be that for yourself without shame. Talk to your inner child kindly. You're safe now. You don't have to earn love. Validate those feelings that you were always taught to suppress. Next is giving yourself permission. Especially being raised in an ethnic household and poor household, you learn to be told no all the time. Whether it's as simple as putting your feet on a couch or standing on a couch. I remember growing up and I would see these Caucasian families in public and I would be like, oh my God, how does their mother let them run around? How does their mother let them scream? And I'm sure their mother wasn't letting them, but I was like, how is it happening without a freaking shoe going to their head? A lot of the times, toxic parents just tell you no to say no because they like the control, and it's more simple for them to tell you no than to let you explore and be the curious child that you naturally are. But you're an adult now and you're claiming back your life, and you're gonna give yourself that permission. Let yourself play, let yourself rest, enjoy it without any guilt. Go buy the toys that you've always wanted. The second that I got a job, I literally filled my room with Lego sets. I bought like 20 within a year. I never had Legos as a child because they were super expensive, and also it was a boy's toy, but I don't care. I love Legos. They are so fun. It genuinely healed a part of me. Or playing board games or doing gymnastics. I always wanted to do gymnastics when I was younger, but I was too poor to do so. So when I was an adult, I literally taught myself how to do it. Now you will catch me doing handstands, cartwheels, headstands, aerials. All of my friends will tell you that the second I see an open field or an open room, open floor, I'm busting a handstand. I do not care. I don't care what anyone thinks. You know, at first I was judged for it a little bit, and I had an ex who was like, why are you doing that? Like, that's so childish, da 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 da. Me doing a handstand. But it's been like 2 years and I've like publicly posted just the stuff that I do on my social media. And now I see other people posting handstands, posting videos of them trying to do it, attempting it, having fun, because they know, they see my videos and they're like, you know what? I was gonna judge her at first, but low key, that does look really fun. In childhood, me would always want to know how to do a handstand. So why wait? The best time to do it is right now, because this is the youngest that you're ever gonna be. The youngest that you're ever gonna be is right now watching this. When I go outside and play energetically, I'm not being childish. I'm healing a part of me from my childhood that wasn't allowed to be free. Lastly is creating safety and structure. Healing isn't just about freedom. It's about feeling safe. Build routines for yourself. Build self-care habits. Ones that give your inner child consistency. Forgive and release. Forgive your parents. Forgive your caregivers. Forgive your teachers. Forgive your old friends. Forgive everyone. Forgive the person you talked to yesterday. Not for them. Not necessarily, it can be. But for your peace. You don't want to hold on to resentment. Then they win. Then they bring wrath out of you. Wrath is a sin. Recognize that they also have unhealed childhoods that maybe they're still working on, or maybe they never will. But God bless you for recognizing your own and taking the first step into doing something about it and breaking the cycle. Ask yourself, what did your inner child need that you never got? What small thing can I do for myself today, tomorrow, this week, to honor them, to make them feel loved and seen? Healing an inner child isn't about becoming somebody new or becoming a child. It's about understanding yourself inside up, head to toe, knowing that you are yourself as a child and everything that came after it. You are a result. You are a product of your childhood. And therefore, everything that happened during your childhood is immediately affecting you, just not in ways that we can always see. All right, guys, I think that's all I have for this video today. If you think that it resonated with you, feel free to send it to someone else that might need to reconnect with their younger self. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe and comment any suggestions or questions. I will be responding to all that I will see. And yeah, I really hope this video helps someone, honestly. This is something that I apply every single day of my life, and I know that the day that you are aware of it, you don't forget. And your relationship with yourself only improves and progresses every single day. And if you want to stay tuned for my next video, please turn on the post notifications. I will try to post weekly or bi-weekly. But I will see you in the next video. Bye!